How do you get on a path to create a better portfolio? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV. Well, where every week when at 11:05 Central Time, we bring to you the most amazing guests as well as the most amazing content. And today is no different. So with that, a couple of things here before we get started. Number one, make sure and like this episode, right? Like and share. We appreciate you doing that and getting the word out there to what's going on in the note space. Number two, go ahead and subscribe to our NoteSchool TV channel if you have not already done so. And number three, go ahead and hit that bell notification. Bing, go ahead and hit that so that you will be made aware of us, going live at 11:05 Central Time every Wednesday. So with that, a couple of other things. Number one, make sure and continue to keep those comments coming. Guys, we love to hear from you. What's going on in your market, what you're doing, and just questions you may have about anything that we talked about in the episode. And so make sure and keep in contact with us, and we'll move forward with that as well. We're going to jump to the news now, like we do every week at this time. So let me bring on our, founder of NoteSchool, our chief visionary officer, all around good guy, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Hey, Joe.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm very good. There's a lot going on this week, and everybody's anticipating the Chairman Powell coming on and so on this week. So we'll see what happens in the Fed meeting. I think it'll be a little more of the same, right?
I don't know. It's kind of funny that everybody was just all thought it was an automatic. He was going to start dropping rates as he predicted, and then as everybody knows, he hasn't. And so I tell people that whether rates drop or they don't drop, it's not going to change anything about what is already unfolded in the inventory of notes and the opportunities. So I know a lot of people need rates to drop, and so I'm not wishing bad for them in any way. The rising rates has produced the opportunity for us, but that opportunity is already in motion.
That's exactly right. And again, we don't have to rely on those rates. We can continue to focus, and it just means that you're in the right place, right time if you're in the note space at this point.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about timing today with our guests. Let's look at our news.
Yeah. So according to the National Association of Home Builders, builder sentiment rises above the break-even point in March. So Eddie, got 51%, over 50% as far as the sentiment in newly built single family homes. And it climbed 3 points from February to March. And it marks the fourth consecutive monthly gain for the builder sentiment.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. The problem we've talked about with the home builder situation is they're paying a lot more for money.
Yep.
Right. And it takes them a long time to build a house because the construction cycle time is stretched out so far. And then it's taken over 9 months for them to sell a new house. So they got a lot of carry in these houses. And I think that's really the problem. They're building a great product, the modern house, and all the things they can do with it are really cool. There's clearly a demand for it, but there's a demand for it with a patient market, meaning that it's taking longer to sell them. So glad to hear that for them.
Yep. And I know that one of the other things that they're doing, they're anticipating rate drops later this year. So that was one of the biggest points in there as well. So yeah, so
I think that's probably true. I don't know that it's going to be as dramatic as reported initially, but I think we are going to see a fade in rates. So
yeah. Yeah, later the year. All right. So, Eddie, you're going to bring on our guest. I'm going to drop off here, and I'll see you at the back end of the show.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, it is always fun to have a guest that you really consider to be a close friend. And this is such a good guy. I so respect him, and just cannot believe that this training business continually puts people in my path that means so much to me. And it maybe I've had a little influence with, but just to go learn from them, and you know, they say that your sphere is the top 5 people you hang around. And if I can hang around people like this guy every day, I'm always better. And he has a great story because he buys property across the country. He buys land. We'll talk about that. He lives where he wants to live, which is in southern Louisiana, because that's where his wife's family's from. And they have a beautiful family and a family situation for sure. And a guy that I really respect. You guys welcome Mr. Ben Legg.
Hey, Eddie. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. That's very kind of you.
You are a guy that I truly respect. I respect your smarts, your family values, your business ethics, your innovation, all of that. And you have been helpful. You've literally been helpful to my sons. Yes. And so I appreciate that. And
well, we appreciate meeting you. It's been a great experience, you know, from the moment we first met you at CG, one of those 4 or 5 years ago, to now we've become good friends and gotten to know your family, and it's been great.
So Ben, we got to know each other in a high-end real estate mastermind. So you guys are land guys. You specialize in buying land, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we'll buy land. Been buying land for about 15, 16 years. Greg Phillips, my business partner, we buy in Virginia, the Carolinas, and starting to buy here in South Louisiana.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So that's become a popular thing. It wasn't so popular when you started, but there's several kind of gurus now that are teaching land buying, land flipping, land sharking, whatever it is people call it, right? And so we now coach a fair amount of people that are in the land business. But a lot of when you guys started with me, I'd been around the land business and creating seller financing on land for decades, right?
Right.
And so I had a lot of experience with it, and you guys came along, and I said, hey, I really think we can maybe help you guys. When you started with NoteSchool, and by the way, congratulations, welcome to NoteSchool.
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, you've been in it now for several years with us, but
we've been 3.5 years.
But so we really talked about these things when we got started. So I really want to kind of go back and kind of talk a little bit about the biggest reason maybe you had and like what you were looking for to get involved with us.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can really remember exactly. I mean, obviously the biggest reason was you. I mean, meeting you and understanding without knowing you really the way I know you now at that time, I just knew we had to be around you with all of your experience and wisdom to be able to help guide us. I'd say the biggest, right off the bat, the biggest thing we learned was how to create a better portfolio. I mean, that was, we were buying property, but I didn't really understand what a note was. Not the way that I do now. Greg certainly didn't either. I didn't understand the 6 components of a note. We certainly didn't understand how to sell notes, how to hypothecate. We didn't even know that existed. So being around you and NoteSchool has helped us tremendously in terms of creating a better, more stable portfolio, buying better quality dirt, which just without trying attracts a better borrower, and then understanding how to create good paper and really the structure of the 6 components of what a note is has helped us tremendously.
Well, Ben, a note is a promise to pay. That's what a note is. It's secured by real estate, but it's somebody's promise to pay.
Yep.
And so if you're dealing in a better grade of an asset, you're able to attract a better grade of a buyer.
100%.
And increase your odds that that promise to pay always turns out to be true, right?
Correct.
If you're selling substandard property, it's hard to go find great buyers, right? And so the land business there's really two completely different kinds of land, in my opinion.
Sure.
There's undesirable land and there's desirable land.
Yes.
And by the time I came along as your influence, you'd already kind of experienced undesirable land is really cheap, and it's cheap for a reason, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It, when you do, it's pretty black and white to me now. And I know a lot of people, depending on the circles they're in or what their influence is, it can be, hey, I'm going to go buy something for $1,000 and owner finance it for 5 years for $4,000. We go and spend big money now to buy really nice dirt. And it's, to be honest with you, a lot safer because you control a better product, you control a better asset that in turn gives you a better borrower, which filters all the way down through the type of paper you get and the type of note you can produce. And that's really what we've learned from you, from talking and being out and going to see you guys in Texas and riding these different land tracks. That's really helped us to understand. It's very apparent after doing a lot of that.
So the thing is, Ben, I want to talk about like the whole reason that people, you don't buy notes, you create your own inventory.
Correct.
So a lot of our note school people just buy notes from someone else, right? And we help them resource that and grade that and know the likelihood it's going to be good. And then the other side is we help real estate investors like you who want to create paper, but you're really building your own bank and you want a good portfolio of notes that are going to pay you well, right?
Correct. Yep.
And what does it get you when you get a portfolio that pays you well? You get a check for a long time in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Get security on the first of the month. I mean, it's changed me personally. Everything is calmer. There's no big issues the first of the month as you build this net worth. As your father-in-law, one of my favorite sayings is, if your income is growing faster than your net worth, you're going in the wrong direction. And if you understand that statement, that's how I always thought, and I could never really articulate it that well. But our goal has been and continues to be net worth and building our balance sheet and cash flow. So that's been our focus. Obviously, you have to balance cash and liquidity, which we've really kind of been balancing those back and forth. But our ultimate goal is to owner finance everything that we can.
We have a lot of people in our note school environment, or we run across people, that are been more traditional real estate investors doing rent houses, or they're investing in multifamily or whatever. And a whole bunch of those people just like we do. And what's happened is inflation got them because their expenses just kept rising, right? Their rents rose, but not at the rate of the expenses. And now the rents are subsiding, going down, and it sucked out their cash flow. And the thing that people like about notes is you're the bank. You're not a landlord.
Correct.
Like, you're just getting a check every month. You're not paying taxes and insurance, and you're not paying in maintenance and all those things because you're the bank.
Yeah. And I think that's just for us personally, when we were looking at what we wanted to do, we started backwards. We just brief background. I mean, Greg and I wanted what our vision for our life was, and then the business was helping support that. And notes became very apparent. I don't like to manage a bunch of people. We have a small, very good team. We have one woman on our team, Leslie, who is fantastic, and she manages all of our notes. If we have 200 notes now, we had 200 rentals, we'd have to have an entire staff to be able to do that. And that's one of the greatest things about notes too. It is the management is significantly less.
I say a saying, you probably have heard me say it, but you can own and manage 1,000 notes for for the same labor horse factor that you can manage 100 rentals.
100%.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
And so it doesn't suck the life out of you, Ben.
No.
I mean, how many times have you and I encountered people that were landlords that have been doing it, and they just get to where they just can't hardly walk forward anymore and think about it? Like, it just drives them crazy.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it goes in spurts, at least my friends. I mean, 6 months is great. And then the next 3 months is like, oh my gosh, I got to sell everything. I can't deal with this. And to be honest with you, I mean, my wife and I personally have a rental, and it's been fine, but we don't make any money. I mean, it's barely cash flowing. It's a nice condo in Colorado, but if you're dealing with all the maintenance and everything else, by the time you really look at what comes in and goes out every year, you're not really making a whole lot of money. With the notes, you can really scale and be able to add real money every year or every month.
All right. So for a lot of people, there's a lot of people in our audience that are different things. There are some people that are in the land business and they say, I'm doing it. But, people that are in the land business and showing them a better grade of land and how they can make money in deals that they never dreamed and stuff, that's just a process, right, Ben? It's just something that when you see it, you get it, but until you see it, you don't visualize it.
Well, it's a process, but it's also a skill set. What impresses me the most about land people in general, I'm not impressed if you buy 600 pieces of property a year. I already know what you're buying. I'm impressed with somebody who can understand how to evaluate and find a good piece of dirt and understand what the vision of that property can be and add extreme value to that. If you got that, I'm impressed, and I want to be around you, because that's been the best thing, to really understand a good piece of property and then be able to add value with rezoning, subdividing, subdivisions, whatever you want to do. That's impressive to me. Those are the things that I look for.
Yeah, I always say about land, I want that land to be sacred to the buyer, the guy that's going to buy it for me. Yeah. And I'm changing his life.
100%. Right? Oh, yeah. A lot of our borrowers, I don't know that as you've experienced, as we've scaled up in our portfolio, more of our borrowers are more bankable, and we do get payoffs quite a bit, to be honest with you now. But I know for a fact, we're helping people that possibly really couldn't go to a bank and get a conventional loan for the piece of land. And I actually, probably right after we met, I asked the guy, I was on the phone with him, and it resonated with me what he said, because you've always said land is sacred. We want to sell that to those people. I said, what are you buying this property for? And the guy said, I'm buying this for my future. I'm buying this for my family. We're going to, I said, and it dawned on me, how do you default on your future? That's really what I thought. And this guy, and we're getting better down payments. We're just attracting you helped us think more like a bank.
Yeah.
Which, thank you.
I love the land business. I've been a full-time note guy for over 4 decades, but I've been involved in the land business and creating land notes a long time. I've bought close to 20,000 land notes, so I've known a lot of people in the business. I like good land notes. I've had a really good life experience with it, and it's been, as you said, I get to be the bank, and so I just collect payments. Ben, this conversation, I think, is really good for a lot of people, because there's a lot of people right now kind of at a transition period. The traditional real estate business model, it's changed pretty drastically in the last 2.5 years, hasn't it?
That 100%. That, and then you've got everything going on with NAR, and everything's changing significantly with the interest rate and run up on values and prices. It's constantly, you got to be on top of everything going on.
Yeah. It's hard to dream as big as it can be, Ben. I hear the stories of you and Greg. By the way, just so you guys know, that the reason Greg can't be us today is because he's in some foreign country jumping off of mountains.
Yeah. Well, he's back from that trip. Yeah. So every year Greg gets to go on it. He's a single guy. I have a family of 3 kid boys. So Greg is still single. So he went to New Zealand for 6 weeks at the beginning of this year. It was
I had
awesome.
a video on Facebook of him like doing bungee jumping. Oh my gosh.
It was all. I'm super thrilled for him. He's been wanting to
he's
do
such a good guy.
It was awesome.
Such a good guy.
You know, actually, speaking of that, I know your audience, but I want to tell you, he went and met Mark Delatour's family down there in New Zealand. Spent 5 nights with them, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah,
a guy that we're in a mastermind with. So, I wanted to get back to this because there's some people right now that are sitting in a seat, Ben. I want to get back to where you were kind of in your earlier days of this business.
Yeah.
And if I said to you, Ben, you can have so many notes with payments coming in that your income is literally made the entire year. All you got to do is just get up and go to the mailbox and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you have believed that?
No. Not in the very beginning. No. It was, it's been a journey. I mean, you know, we've been at this for 15 years, and I would say for your audience, if you're in that beginning phase, and I just think Greg and I, we were not an overnight success, and we're still at it.
Yeah.
But if you stick with it and you get around the right people, NoteSchool in particular, join a tribe. Our lives changed when we a few things, but the biggest thing was we joined a tribe and got people that were better than us around us, and that changed everything.
Well, listen, NoteSchool is not smarter than anybody else. What we do give people is an excessive compression of time.
That's right.
We can eliminate the mistakes so that they don't make them, and then they've got to go get years and get over that, right?
Well, I mean, you do compress time, but you also give avenues for what else is available that I had no idea how to hypothecate notes. No clue until we met you. You helped us sell notes. I mean, we have all these different avenues that as we join the tribe, we see all this stuff happening. We have this portfolio. We say, wow, we can do that. And then you helped us do it. So it's, there's a lot of value in that, a ton of value. I always say, and NoteSchool in particular, and for us as CG, I didn't understand this. And so if you're on the outside of NoteSchool wanting to join, listen to this statement. I never understood this until I did it. Greg and I cannot buy an asset that will give us a better return or a bigger return than joining NoteSchool or a mastermind. We can't buy a piece of land that will make us millions of dollars. I mean, we can buy it and get good assets, but these tribes, as I call them, they give us the best return we could ever invest in, by far.
I mean, once again, it's a compression of time. Listen, I'm not smarter than anybody in NoteSchool. I've just been doing it for decades, and I've tried it about every way you can try it. And I've run the experiment so many times. I've learned that this method, this way of structuring the financing, this whatever, like that's what it is you're just, I'm passing, instead of them having to go through all these experiments, I'm passing on the results of the experiment so that they can get there faster.
That's right.
And that's what it should be. Right. And so I didn't tell them I got to tell these guys this before we leave. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, meet NoteSchool's only legitimate weatherman.
I am. You're right. Still doing a little TV weather here in South Louisiana. That's only thing I ever wanted to do with my whole life, and until I did it, and then got into it for 5 or 6 years, and got out of TV full time and started real estate. But I still enjoy doing some TV here and there.
So when they have one of those big hurricanes come through South Louisiana, they call you in for a little extra special help.
No. When I was 25 years old and had an apartment and a couch and a broke down bed, I was like, bring on the Category 5 storm. Now it's no. My wife calls. What are we doing? We got to pack up the kids. No, that's yeah. I like a good thunderstorm now.
So Ben is a meteorologist, and he did that. He was a TV weatherman for a few years, and now he's a land guy. So how about that? So
that's right.
I just had to mention that to the group, and because it's pretty funny and quite a story of how your journey has taken you. So, Joe, come back. Let's talk to this man.
All right. So, Ben, yeah, great story. And, you know, when we look at, you have the ability when you're buying with a note, you have the ability to craft that note so that it does fit your portfolio. It does meet your investment needs. It does meet, what you want to do and what you want to do with the property down the road. So, yeah, it's a great way to buy.
No, it's and the other great thing about land, I always tell Greg and tell everybody, with land, we can buy a big tract of land and subdivide and sell off a portion of it and keep the rest for free, pay back the private money. You can't sell a house in half and sell half of it and keep the other. There's so many cool things you can do with land. That's pretty unique.
That's true. Ben, we talked about partials here a couple of weeks ago. And, I know this guy, his favorite analogy for that, kind of like what you just said, it's like buying, a pizza and selling 3 of the slices, right? Yeah. And then get the other half for free. Anybody that would say something like that?
Maybe. He's right above you on my screen.
So much.
We appreciate you and the things you've done for all of us and for our the Note School tribe. And guys, this is the caliber of people that we have, right? That comes to our Note School events and is a part of Note School. So we appreciate that and what you and Greg bring to the table. That's for darn sure.
Well, we return the sentiment back at you guys for sure.
Very good. Well, Eddie, next week is our monthly update, and there is a lot going on. I've been working on that, and it's another one of those times when we've got this many things we could talk about, and we've got to kind of narrow it down to this many things we can talk about. Kidding. So that's our big one. So
Eddie's going to whiteboard that one.
Yeah, no, it really, we start out with probably 100 different things that we could address, and we have to break it. We usually get it narrowed down to about, 7 to 10.
Yeah.
But it's pretty challenging because there's so many things changing in the market. Ben, you see this with your other friends in real estate and these other asset classes. And so it's we're just trying to keep the market aware and stuff and keep doing that. Ben, you have a great story. Congratulations on your career in your business and your family. Every time I see you post something on Facebook with all your kids and just the fun stuff, and you're playing a video of your little one now walking, like right before we started filming today, just fun stuff. And so just keep doing what you do. And this guy, ladies and gentlemen, truly is a go-giver. He gives a lot of himself to other people, and he's making an impact. So thank you for that, Ben.
Absolutely. Ben, they say a life well lived is the best revenge, right? So, and guys, if you want to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. That's it for this week. Thanks to Ben and Greg in absentia there for what you guys do. And we'll see you on the monthly update next Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.